outside of politics, I understand you've been very passionate about what's going on at Standing Rock.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, I've been there many times. As we speak, there's a raid going on. I just did a report that there's this epic image floating around Twitter now of police literally chasing journalists down the street. We see snipers in the camp pointed at unarmed Native Americans and non-natives. Just as somebody who served, do you look at this how I look at this? I kind of look at it as police terrorism.
No, you're absolutely right. And I went back for the second time this past weekend. The Veterans Stand organization called me out and they asked me, "Hey, can you come up here?" And I said, "You damn well better believe it. You just give me a time and a day and I'll be up there." And I was up there in the weekend before the election as well, and the distinct contrast. Yeah, there were still snipers up on the hills, and there was still the police presence, and they were trying to do their show of force every time they did a shift change, and it was galling when I saw the guardsmen. And I love my brothers in arms, but we are obligated to disobey unlawful orders. We are obligated to. Now, I understand that is easier said than done, especially if you're just a grunt, just a little NCO like me. You can't tell a colonel no. But at the same time, if you tell the colonel no in such a way that it gets heard and seen, all of a sudden you've made that impact. And I was just waiting for one of those young boys to just step up and do that. And then, the camp was so full of life in November. There was thousands of people. Yes, they were there for obviously protecting water, but it was lively. There was this feeling that we're going to do this, we're going to make it. And then I went back this past weekend, and it was a desolate wasteland. I mean, you saw it, you were there. And it's unfortunate that we missed each other. That would have been a perfect opportunity, but it broke my heart. And I went live twice or three times or something. Once when I was confronting law enforcement, and once when they shut down Ochedi camp when we were trying to have a veterans meeting. And it was awful. It was like a legitimate war zone. I was about to put on my uniform, which was still in the back seat of the car, and be like, "Listen, I'm Staff Sergeant Sam Ronan of the United States Air Force, and this is absolute, and I'm going to say it on this thing, it is absolute bullshit what you're doing right now. This is not protecting and defending the Constitution. This is not fulfilling your oath. This is violating First Amendment rights. This is violating the treaties, and you're going out there and literally protecting corporate interests that is going to screw over your own communities." We've seen pipeline leaks already in North Dakota. I mean, in North Dakota, where this crap is already happening on agricultural land. This is absolutely police terrorism. Terrorism in general. It's corruption. Plain and simple. And the fact that all across the country, I want to bring this up. There is no such thing as an unlawful order that an officer can give you. Literally, if an officer were to kick down your door, which is already illegal, but if they kicked down your door and ordered you to get naked and dance outside, you would have to lawfully obey. You could probably try suing for sexual harassment, but technically you could not disobey that order. Whereas in the military, if you were to tell me, if you were my commanding officer and said, "Strip down naked and go dance outside," I could take you to EO, you would be decommissioned and dishonorably discharged like that. Law enforcement has no such hindrance, and we've seen that play out. Get on the ground, quit resisting arrest. Officer, I literally asked you a question. And during one of my live feeds, that's exactly what we did. Hey, we saw the signs, but we also saw people driving, so we weren't sure. We saw this checkpoint, we saw cops, so we thought we'd come up and ask, "Hey, what's going on?" so we can tell other people or we can make sure we don't do this mistake. And they were trying to arrest us. Like, it is, as a veteran, it breaks my heart. It makes me feel like my oath can't ever be fulfilled if this is what's happening. I mean, that's exactly why I got into politics. That's why I'm doing the chairmanship nonsense and why I went to North Dakota twice. I would happily be there right now. I would love to go back. I just don't know what else we can do to get a bigger spotlight on it so that they get booted from terrorizing locals.
Well, I think that brings us back to the overall discussion we've been having.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a damn thing from any of the Democratic leadership about Standing Rock. They sent out a bunch of emails, mini Wachoni, the day Obama denied the permit. Other than that, other than Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Raul Grijalva, Tom Udall, maybe I'm missing a few.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren, who has talked about her Native American heritage, has barely said anything. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, these candidates. I don't hear a damn thing. And when the Democrats say we're the party of the people, well, the people are under attack. So it kind of connects back to what we've been talking about.
And even on CNN, I actually got the word out. I actually got to say the phrase DAPL, but they immediately drowned me out. Or, I mean, I only had, 5 minutes of airtime anyway. Right. And I actually had planned remarks for the DAPL protests and all these other movements that are going on, how we are still violating Native Americans 400 years later. Like, we landed ashore and we started just being awful neighbors, so to speak, and it hasn't stopped. And what's happening in DAPL is exactly indicative of what's happening all across the country, just highlighted in a very extreme sense. And, you know, it's not like it couldn't be combated. I mean, honestly, we could take legal action. There have to be lawyers out there that are like, guys, this is clearly BS. But when the judiciary, when the legislative and the executive are all in it together, then the only thing you can do is protest. But you have to be heard. You have to, you know, and we've even had people get hurt. We have had veterans organizations show up there. I don't know what else we can do.
And I'll just end on this. I think what's really needs to be reminded to people, it's not like this just started under Trump. This was going on for months under a Democratic president, Democratic Senate. Not anything was done, frankly, because they're all in big business together with the fracking and the big oil and the big banks that invest these pipelines. So there's a lot of work to do, and appreciate you talking to us. I have a feeling no matter what happens in the DNC chair, we'll be talking again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.